welcome to the other three amigos, Las Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. So sit back, put the feet up, because it's TOTAP time.
On this week's TOTAP Las Damas, a massive injury blow for DLR, but are they about to add a player from Wexford? There's an extended under-19 squad announced, and John and myself cast some fishing lines. A senior international game in the People's Republic of Cork? Amanda Budden spoke, so we react. The underage roundup. Casey Howe's personal Puskas Award competition. I'm suddenly sucking up to the shams. And much, much more on this week's Las Damas. A Hoopy Conor McGregor.
Who the f*** is that guy? Who the f*** is that?
Hello and welcome to TOTAP Las Damas, Season 3, Episode 12, Episode 205 of the full TOTAP itinerary. We are an award-winning podcast. We are now on Patreon. You can find
We're
us
not
at
a podcast anyway.
Yeah, okay. The fact that Eileen jumped in there, I was going to let it go.
We're not
What
a
about you?
podcast. We're a podcast.
I thought I saw a podcast and I may not be taking this out, so I'm just going to work on and say we are an award-winning podcast. We are now on patreon.com/TOTAP. It is great if you could retweet to help the pod grow, or even just a like would always be appreciated. And as always, our DMs are always open. And also, as always, as you've already heard, I am joined by my other amigo, John O'Sullivan, and my amiga, Eileen Ring. Guys, how are things, bar my bad pronunciation seemingly? How are things in general this week?
All good. I can't believe you're going to leave in my terrible Northern Irish accent there. You have to cut that.
You know, I'm not a big fan of taking things out, especially ad hoc funny moments like that I didn't realise were even after happening. So, Eileen, how are you? Good day, bad day for the Arsenal? I mean, how are we feeling?
Bad day for the Arsenal, good day for Cork. Do you know, up and down. It's a lot. Sport is a lot, isn't it?
It is, as we will find out later on. So we look at the last week in Irish women's football, which up until Wednesday there wasn't much happening, and then all of a sudden everything kicked off. So Palestine beat Bows 2-1 in Dalymount Park on Wednesday night. A fantastic occasion, brilliant for Bows, for the Palestinians, for the country. Great occasion, John. Brilliantly added to by Tony Magner on commentary with Shauna Cook. I mean, I figured that after leaving Dalymount, Shauna must have went home and had a 3-hour shower or something just to scrub the dirty Bows feeling from her. But as I said, a fantastic occasion for everyone involved.
I know, it's brilliant. And look, genuine, I was glad to hear Tony doing the commentary because he's doing all the women's games and he's so good. And look, it's a bit of a dream team for that match as well because Sean is so good as a co-commentator. No, look, I thought it was a really good game, really enjoyed it, but really wasn't about the game at all. It was just a fantastic event. And look, I think the interviews with Charlotte Phillips on Off the Ball afterwards with her grandparents kind of just summed it up and how much it meant to everybody. And look, there's nothing negative about it at all. It was just, I don't think it could have gone better for anybody. And look, and fair play to everybody involved. It was magical.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And hopefully Bows will push on now and continue to show that level of respect to their women's team for the rest of the season. Eileen, news on the grapevine says that Abby Brophy is leaving Wexford and will join DLR, or may already have left Wexford and will join DLR in the summer window. That's a good pickup for DLR, who unfortunately do need reinforcements following the season-ending injury picked up by Niamh Ngassi. I mean, it's about 6 weeks ago or so since she picked it up, but it was only this week that DLR confirmed the extent of the injury and that she would miss the rest of the campaign. That's a big injury blow for DLR, Eileen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge for them. Like she's so pivotal for them. They're in the center of the park. Look, obviously we don't have confirmation that Abby's going there, but if it is DLR she goes, she should be a brilliant addition. Look, it obviously didn't really work out down in Wexford for her, but she was excellent the season before that at Bowes before she went down to Wexford. Even the start of the last season, I thought she was good, but said, look, there's a lot changing down in Wexford. It seems to be week in, week out, and they kind of can't seem to get things right. And maybe she's kind of fallen victim to that. And look, she is Dublin based as well, so it makes sense maybe that she plays at a club that's a bit more local to her. And as I said, I think she'd offer a huge amount to DLR. And as you said, like probably badly needed, losing such just such a pivotal player for them and in such a pivotal position as well. And look, Abby doesn't obviously play in the centre of the park, but I just think she'd be another big option for them, especially when they're a side that play so much on the break. You could see how much trouble Michelle Doonan's pace causes for teams. So if they have a second outlet in Abby like that, that would be brilliant because I thought she was excellent. Her first season at Bowes, like she gave us awful headaches. I could remember her playing against
Yeah,
City and like she was a real handful. Like so. She's somebody you'd like to see back in the league and playing week in, week out.
absolutely. And look, best wishes to Nima and Gassi from everybody in TOTAP Tours, and hopefully her recovery goes well and we see her back playing next season. John, there was an extended under-19 squad announced. Any surprises, any shocks?
Look, it might be biased here. From my mind, I think Niamh Collar should have been in it. I think Dave Connell has named 7 defenders. One of those I would class as a midfielder, to be honest about it. But I think you have a situation where pretty much everybody on that squad now at under 19 level is, at least to people who follow the league, is more or less a household name. It just goes to show the strength of player that we have playing domestically in the league. Yeah, look, I don't know that there was too many surprises, but as it was an extended squad, probably a bit surprised that Niamh didn't make it given the start of the season she's had with Cork City. She is playing senior football, and there's a couple of players there. No disrespect to them, but they're still playing under 19s in the league as well. Haven't really made that break into senior. So, look, that's Dave Connell's shout. Not sure if he's actually seen Niamh play this year or seen Cork City play this year or seen any under 19 player play this year, but I won't go down that road now. But because if I start talking
Go
about that
on.
situation, no, I won't. We'll save that for when they win the Euros, and I'll be able to congratulate them.
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations off camera previously, especially around the night of the Treaty Cork City game, as to whether Dave O'Connell should have been in Turner's Cross at the game with so many people, so many of those players eligible for the under-19 squad, whether not just Dave Conn, but whether the whole underage structure within the FAI get out and about to enough games. But as I said, we said it's not a conversation that we were going to have at this moment in time, so we won't. But we'll just throw that little fishing rod out there though and see what happens over the next week or two.
But just let me do say, I see Tom Elms at matches all the time, and I see James Scott at games all the time. And he's around. He goes into under 17 training sessions at the clubs as well, constantly. So yeah, just to underline the point.
Okay, absolutely. No problem. We like to underline our points there. Eileen, John said there's been no shocks or surprises. Well, surprising that he said that Niamh Collar was left out of the squad, but can we take it from this extended squad that the idea that was spouted maybe a couple of weeks ago, I saw Ken Kieran talking about it on Twitter at one stage, that maybe the likes of the senior players would drop down into that squad and go to the European Championships? Can we consider that idea maybe dead in the water now based on this squad?
Yeah, I would think your squad is going to come from this squad. I like John. I don't think there's surprises, but and look, I don't actually think it is bias. I think we're people who watch this league week in, week out, every game in this league week in, week out. And Niamh Cotter should be in there. She's been absolutely incredible this season for Cork City. It's very odd, like if you're basing something on form, but as you said, if you're not watching the league, then you don't know that she's been incredible this season. So look, it's a shame for Niamh, like, but sometimes look, if your name is in a manager's head, it is, and it doesn't matter that he hasn't seen what you're doing. Realistically, it seems to be, but I don't think they're going to drop those players down. the likes of Jessie, who was it, Jessie, Abby, like Freya Healy, Ellen Dolan, and Jess Fitzgerald have all been in the senior squad, and they're in with the 19s now. And I think they will be kept with the 19s for this. And the fact that they're in it would indicate maybe they won't be in the next senior squad. But I just think Jessie Stapleton is probably she's getting closer and closer to being a starter in the Eileen Gleeson side. And I saw Denise O'Sullivan has a brace on her knee again at the moment. So like, if that's the case, Jessie will start. Like, so I think she'll stay with the senior squad.
Okay, very interesting. Speaking of the senior squad, so Eileen, I would imagine that we're going to get a squad announcement this week for the back-to-back Sweden games. You've just mentioned Denise has a brace on her knee. Would you expect that squad to be very, very similar to what the previous squad was, or could you see changes within the structure of that squad?
I wonder, will we see maybe a couple more home based in it? I just have noticed Colin Healy's been at a couple of games and stuff like that. So it's just obviously that's something that we're going to see maybe a bit more of. I think we might see maybe one or two, even if it's not just to get game time, but to be in and around the squad, you know. And I think there's a couple of players that in the league that have stuck their head up for a while now, taking away just the under 19s that maybe would be, as I said, not, yeah, I suppose due a call up, like, and given the opportunity to go in and see what the setup is like, and like, so, but other than that, I can't see a massive amount of changes. It'll be interesting where they go starting 11 wise, because like Leanne Kiernan is then on absolute flames at Liverpool. Like, now she's finally fully fit, like scored a hat-trick in a half an hour yesterday. Like, you know, it's a real option. We still have the conundrum, like, is Katie McCabe going to have to go to Australia next week? Arsenal haven't announced that squad. As they already said, Denise is in a brace. I don't know how serious that is or not. So look, I suppose it'll depend on fitness. But it's at a time as well where League of Ireland players now are in season, and some championship players in England have been out of season for a couple of weeks. So like, how sharp will they be coming into it as well? They've been on holidays. You could see it all over social media. So like, I do think it's a great opportunity maybe to bring in one or two from our league here.
If we do that though, Eileen, are you weakening the squad in any way?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so at all, because as I said, it's just like she seems to have kind of a set group of players that she generally kind of use, like your starting 11, maybe 3 or 4 subs after that. And after that, they do seem to be a squad. But like, I just think you have some young players in our league here who maybe will have opportunities to move across the water in the coming months, and like, get them into the international squad now, get them in training, just get them to see the setup. It's not necessarily about that I'm suggesting one that's going to go in and start against Sweden. I don't think that's going to happen in a million years, but I'm just saying, just get them in around the squad, get a feel for it. If it's a player that you're watching in the league, if you're the Irish management and you think, I think she could do a job, we'll get her in and see what she's like in the environment. I can just give players a chance. I think that's, for me, that's the big thing there. I'd probably be completely wrong, of course.
I have a feeling you mightn't be, but we'll see what happens. John, there was an announcement during the week that Páirc Uí Chaoimh that central council, or whichever one of the councils, the 55,000 GA councils that exist at this stage, somebody in the GA said it was okay to have the Ireland-France game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh anyway. That's about as much as I know. Good news for the FAI, good news for Cork football, good news for international women's football in this country, that it looks like that game's going to be played in Páirc Uí Chaoimh now.
Yeah, I suppose in general it is. Look, it's bringing the international side around the country. It's bringing them to a good stadium, but I would worry that it's going to look poor enough on TV because they can only use the seated sections of it. And it is a very, very big stadium. So hopefully they put a good push behind getting it full. But look, it is great to see the senior team, move around the country. And yeah, look, hopefully Denise does feature in the squad, and Megan Connolly and a few others like this. It's a chance to play at home squared, shall we say, not only in Ireland but in Cork. I think in the whole it's good, and it's obviously great news for the Cork County Board, who are broke.
Eileen, I'm going to be slightly controversial here now. As a die-hard Corkonian, People's Republic, real capital type person, all that stuff, I have a big fear for this game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, I have to say. Like John said, it's a big stadium. The terrace sections aren't going to be in use, obviously. So I think it's about 22,000 seats. My biggest fear is knowing Cork and knowing Cork people is that it's a really poor attendance. It's a midweek. The park is a nightmare to get in and out of. In all likelihood, there's going to be nothing riding on the game for Ireland. It's going to be a dead rubber for Ireland. And as I said, I have this real big fear that it's a small crowd that makes its way down to the park that night.
I'll go the opposite extreme. So, and I'll say if it's 22,000, they're going to sell out the park.
Okay, cool. That would be brilliant.
I just expect, I understand what you're saying. Like, obviously, look, people aren't from Cork. A lot of people listening to this aren't from Cork. Logistically, Páirc Uí Chaoimh is a nightmare to get to. You kind of essentially have to park in the city and walk down. It's not a particularly long walk. It's not the end of the world, but Cork people, we like to give out about stuff. So I just think... No, we don't. I just think, like, you have people all around Munster that it might be hard to get to a game in Dublin. It's there and it's accessible for people. I think there's a huge amount of young girls playing the game in Cork that never get a chance to get to Dublin. I know a lot of people, like a few of the lads I work with there were saying, oh yeah, no, I'm going to go down to it. I'm going to bring the lads down to it. It's brilliant to see Ireland. Like kids just want to see an Irish team. Do you know what I mean? And it's about marketing it right. That will be the big issue. If it could be marketed right, I think there's not going to be any fear of getting a big crowd down there, because it's a novelty. And like, you could see, like, the Irish women's rugby team, and not to be disrespectful, like, but they've been absolutely atrocious for the last few years, and there are really big crowds in Musgrave Park this year, and that's off the back of like no success at all and no like big household names that the Irish women's football team has. Like, we've genuine world-class stars, and one of them is from Cork, and obviously Megan Connolly is from Cork. She has a history with the park. Saoirse Noonan has a big history with the park. She will have played down there for Cork teams. Megan's brother was a Cork footballer himself for years. So like, there's lots of little stories there, and it's about kind of tying in with them. And like, if all comes to all, like, Denise O'Sullivan's family would fill out one stand anyway, so we should be safe.
They'll cross
reserve
the river,
seating. Yeah, reserve seating.
They'll come down from the north side, would be safe.
Yes. Well, look, everything great in the Cork always comes out of the north side.
Chalk
anyway,
it down.
That's the listen. Of course, it will also be a big occasion for the FAI, and they're dealing with podcasts and things like that, because the FAI have always told us they have no issue with us. They banned us and took our accreditation from us on Cork City Say So. So when we apply for accreditation for this game, for this podcast in Cork, a Cork-based podcast following the National League, what are they going to say? I presume they're just going to give it to us and welcome us with open arms. So,
computer says no, Abs.
Oh, sure, look. Well, we will. It won't be for the want of asking the question anyway. That's for sure. We'll see what the computer says then. Okay, guys, we'll leave that there. And Eileen, you just gave me a great link. Cork people always like to complain about things, you said. Well, can you imagine? A Cork person by the name of Amanda Budden was on a podcast this week complaining about all things Cork City and photographs and reactions to the Shamrock Rovers defeat and everything else. And look, I've always felt in this podcast we don't use enough music, and that there are sections where we can just do a section with some lovely music playing in the background. And I think this is one of the chances to do that. So I have a favourite piece of music I always enjoy for Shamrock Rovers. So I'm just going to leave it play away in the background while we discuss this issue. Eileen, you made me aware on Saturday morning of this podcast appearance by Amanda. And look, we should say Amanda's entitled to her views. Absolutely entitled to her views. Most people don't have an issue with players having a view. Her major complaint seemed to be that Cork City tweeted the now famous photograph of Eva Mangan, laughing at the situation that everybody found themselves in when Amanda left her goal mouth to try and intimidate Eva, and Eva stood there laughing at her, basically, I think is what happened. And I don't know what to make of it. I mean, as I said, Amanda's entitled to her views. I think the thing I take from it is that it's coming from Amanda, who, to be fair, I've never spoken to her, I've never met her, I have the height of respect for her, she's a fantastic goalkeeper. But she'd be well known around the league for being verbally active in games and maybe physically active in games at times. And to hear her being the one complaining about other players or photographs or other clubs, there's a touch of irony about it, Eileen, to say the least.
Yeah, and look, I obviously have to caveat this by saying I'm friends with Amanda. I know her a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Buttons, buds.
Buds, that's me, is it? Look, she came across quite bitter in it. Like, she doesn't like Cork City Football Club. That's due to her own history here. We could see after Danielle Burke was released last year, like she made her feelings very known on social media. She's obviously not a fan of the current setup of Cork City, and that's absolutely fine. As you said, it's fine to give your opinion and have whatever opinion. I think she's really pissed off about how Shamrock Rovers season's going. That's very clear to hear. The only thing that annoyed me about the interview is like she suggested that like the Cork City players weren't very good role models, and that's a nonsense. Like, Cork City players are probably the best role models in the league because they're doing it for free. And they're out in schools, they're out in clubs, they're out after every game. And like, so for me, they're the best role models in the league. And I, for one, as a Cork City fan, don't like hearing the players referred to as not good role models, because I think that's nonsense. Apart from that, in the interview, honestly, it gave me a bit of a laugh. Like, it was like salty Shamrock Rovers tears. Like, do you know what I mean? It was, people are used to coming down to Cork City, and Cork City for the last couple of years rolling over, just like having their belly tickled, not putting a foot in, not raising a bad word to another team, just essentially bending over and just taking it. And now this Cork City team is different, and teams don't like it, but teams have to get used to it because we're a different animal now, and there's no more rolling over for teams. But like, to suggest like some of the stuff was a bit bananas. And as you said, like, the picture is down around the halfway line. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if we were like, just stay in your goal and there'd have been no picture, Amanda, do you know? But look, as I said, I have great time for Amanda. I think she's a brilliant goalkeeper. She is a divisive character. In fairness to her, after the game, she was pissed off. She stood and posed for pictures with supporters. Obviously, because people will know her. She's involved with Wilton, she's involved with Cork, but she doesn't like Cork City Football Club. That's absolutely fine. We have no problem with that. But it gave me a bit of a laugh, if nothing else. Salty, salty tears.
I'd hate to see what you'd say about people who aren't your friends, to be honest with you.
She'd say worse about
John,
me.
look, I mean, it's... Yeah, I do believe it, yeah. Look, John, as I said, it's not a thing because Amanda's entitled to say whatever she wants to say. But as I said, the thing is, she's got to realise it's going to come back, especially when, as Eileen said, she's a touch of a divisive character herself. You pointed out that she'd already been booked earlier for coming to the halfway line and remonstrating with the referee. And this was her second excursion outside her area to try and get involved in something that basically had nothing to do with her. And this, like, it's a fantastic photograph because Eva Mangan, it's just a moment in time. Like, Eva Mangan didn't set out to laugh at Amanda Budden before the game or mock Amanda Budden. It's just a snapshot in time where Amanda has arrived into a scene and obviously tried to intimidate Eva, and Eva standing there and laughed at her, which is what every coach would tell a player to do. You know, don't get involved physically, just laugh at them and leave them off. And as Eileen said, there's a lot of how dare people stand up to us, where Shamrock Rovers kind of vibe coming off the whole thing. And it's, as Eileen said, it's highly entertaining. I love this shit. I think this shit should be going on left, right, and centre.
We
Every
need
club
more of
should
it
be
in the
the
league,
papers,
like,
giving out about other clubs and giving out about players. I think this is where the league needs to go, and we're happy as a podcast to be the conduit for this stuff. You know, send us in your DMs. We'll keep them private. Call other players, whatever you want to call them. We read it out, no problem. We'll get the whole thing rocking and rolling. Absolutely no issue.
Yeah. No, look, the only two things that I picked up on the interview was that, like Eileen said, when she said that the Cork City players want role models off the back of this, and also she kind of points that, thank God it was me that was photographed and not some poor younger player, who might have been more vulnerable. And look, but it comes down to, like, if you want to talk about role models, don't put yourself in a situation where you can be photographed 60 yards from your goal shouting at a referee. And if you want to talk about putting pressure on young players, go talk to your manager and your club about all the pressure that was put onto them when you were talking about them changing the game when they came in last season like a Hoopy Conor McGregor. So, dry your eyes, mate. Like,
the Hoopy Conor McGregor. Oh my word. Yeah, I think that was the other thing that stood out for me from the interview was, like, Amanda was asked about their season and she mentioned injuries and she mentioned being unlucky and hitting the post and hitting the bar. To be fair, there wasn't much, inward looking stuff, and like there was no mention of it's the players or we haven't performed or we haven't done it. Now, to be fair to her, she did say we have the players to be doing much better, but again, the emphasis was put on being unlucky and injuries and everything else. And I just felt that if it was a Pearl Slattery or it was a Rachel Graham or it was a Karen Duggan, that the first response would have been, we as players have to take responsibility for our performances. And I didn't get that vibe from Amanda, and I don't get that vibe at all from any of the Shamrock Rovers camp, to be honest.
No, and I agree. I thought that would have been the first thing, like that we collectively haven't been good enough, and that wasn't said. Like she said, we have players that we should be doing better, but like as you said, like look, it's a 50-50 whatever is going on up there. We don't know what's going on up there, but maybe it was a case that she didn't want to throw players or her teammates under the bus as well, and I completely understand that. It's a difficult spot she's put in going into an interview like that when your season has went the way it is. And like Amanda will just say what's on her mind, and she doesn't give a shit. Like she really doesn't. And instead, she's always been like that, and that's admirable to a point. Like, but I can understand her holding back that little bit on saying players aren't good enough, or we collectively, in case, look, it's obviously probably not the happiest dressing room anyway, and I would think she was probably conscious of that going in, that she's not going to maybe further upset a dressing room or cause a divide in the dressing room or something like that. But like the reality is, they haven't been good enough collectively as a squad of players, like, and given the talent there and given the investment that's been put in them, it does have to be better, I think. And like she spoke about what Shamrock Rovers as a club have to offer, and it's why and I spoke to her last year, and that thing about a physio, like people will think that's a really small thing, like to have a physio at every training session. That's a really unusual thing in the women's game, like, which is it's bananas really, but like they're small things that, and while in the long run I do think Shamrock Rovers will be very successful because they're things that make difference to players, but just with the investment they've had there, you have to be better, and players have to take a bit of responsibility as well, I think.
Yeah, look, we'll park it there because I genuinely don't want it to sound like we're completely anti-Shamrock Rovers, because that's not the case at all, really, is it? Dry your eyes, mate. Right, moving on. The underage results: under 17 Group A, Drogheda 2, Finn Harps 1, Longford 0, Dundalk 1. Group B was Peamount 0, St. Pat's 1, Galway 1, Athlone 4, DLR 3, Mayo 1. Group C saw Waterford beat Wexford 3-1, Cork City beat Bray 2-0, and Cove Ramblers beat CK United 1-0. That's Cove's first win at this level, so congratulations to them. Under 19s Group A, it was Peamount 3, Shelburne 4. Dundalk and Bowes had no result the last time I checked on the FAI Connect app. In Group B, Galway beat Sligo 2-0. And Shamrock Rovers beat DLR 5-2, while Athlone were 4-2 winners away in Bray. And Group C saw Wexford win 4-0 at home to Cove. Treaty United won in Waterford, and Cork City beat CK United 2-0 away from home. John, I think there's still some time to run in the under-17s, but the under-19s are finished. So can you explain to us who goes into the elite levels and who, what way the whole split works from here now?
There's a couple of new teams that have come into the divisions this year, but I guess following the path that would have been used last year, the top two from each of the Group A, Group B, and Group C will go into an elite division, and then the remaining teams will go into a second tier, North and South. So what that would mean is that Bohemians, Shells, Rovers Athlone, and Wexford and Cork City, who won today after Treaty caught Waterford, I guess, means they would go into the elite phase, and then the remaining clubs will go into a tier 2 North and tier 2 South.
Okay, and the tier 2 North and tier 2 South, do the winners of each of that then play each other off in some kind of...
Yeah. So it'll run down to both elite and the tier 2s will run down to a league final. So that'll be what the season will end up with.
Cool. And that's the under-19s. As I said, there's still a few weeks left in the under-17s by all accounts. So we'll have a look at that when that finishes up. Guys, this week was the final group games in the Avenir All-Ireland, Avenir Sports All-Ireland Cup, whatever they're calling it. We try to do things as journalistically integral as we can, but I just can't remember the exact name of it now, so I'm just going to run with that anyway. So we're just going to do this by groups rather than going into the individual games, because some games had a lot in them and some games had absolutely nothing on them. So Eileen Group A saw Linfield beat Lisburn 6-0 on Friday night, and then Peamount beat Bowes 1-0 on Saturday. So Linfield topped the group on goals scored, as both themselves and Peamount finished with a +7 goal difference, but Linfield scored 10 and Peamount scored 9, and the game between them was a draw. So that's the way it goes. Just one thing I've noticed as well, Eileen, that Peamount are now 5 games since they moved to a back 3, and they're yet to concede a goal. Now, we spoke about the attacking prowess that gives them with the back 3 and Jeddah Burr getting forward, but it's actually defensively, it seems to have made a massive difference for them as well. 5 clean sheets in the trot.
Yeah, no, they have been, and they rested Nemo for the game, and brought in now their second keeper is Niamh Coombs, who's an incredibly good goalkeeper as well, and did very, very well when she was number 1 in Athlone. But yeah, they're very solid defensively. But that goal was all about, or that game was all about that goal from Freya Healy. I don't know, did you see it? It was incredible. She picks up the ball, she absolutely jinx, makes an absolute goal of about 3 players, lays off a ball to Jess Fitzgerald, who just first time back, and then again she puts the ball through 2 people's legs and pings it into top corner. It's an unbelievable goal, and interplay from the 2 of them. It's genuinely, the game wasn't great, to be honest, but that goal was incredible. I said it wasn't even just...
You wouldn't see it out of an Arsenal player.
No, exactly. Look, there you go. This is what I have to look forward to at the Emirates next season. So no, it was a brilliant, brilliant goal and worthy of any game. And I didn't see any of the obviously the other game wasn't streamed, but I think it was... Look, Peamount would be delighted to be going through to the knockouts of that, because that game could have went either way. I think for Bowes it probably would have been hard, because they would have had that incredible high of the friendly against Palestine during the week, and I think it would have been hard to come down from that, and they would have had a lot expected of them in and around that game in terms of press and stuff like that, and they were brilliant. But I think even pre and post game, all the players I saw, like Rachel Kelly, Tegan Ruddy, Lisa Murphy, they all spoke so well. I think that's probably going to be really emotionally draining what they went through. So I think I don't think they'll be losing any sleep over losing that game either. Do you know what I mean? I think they'll just be glad to kind of come through it and reset again for next week. Linfield have been impressive in that group, and I think Linfield have probably looked the most impressive of the Northern Irish teams, because most of them have taken a while to get going, whereas Linfield kind of were at it from the get-go. With that opening game against Peamount, so I think they'll be really strong as the competition goes on as well.
Linfield are the only qualifiers, John, from the northern teams. Is that a fair reflection, do you think, on the northern teams' performances, or as Eileen says, was it too early in pre-season for clubs to really define themselves and their ability?
I think it probably was, to be honest. I think Glentoran and Crusaders both probably are much better teams than they showed up until the last game of both games. We'll talk to them as we go through the groups later. Cliftonville, I should say. Crusaders were very poor. Cliftonville got caught by Wexford FC in an earlier game, but they were much better after that. I think it probably did come a little bit early in the season for the northern teams, which is probably something we'll have to look at, because I think they probably had we been looking another 2 weeks out for the next series of games or something like that, I think you would have seen a much different set of results.
Yeah, interesting. John, I stick with you. Group B was done and dusted, bar an absolute massive turnaround in goal difference, which was really never going to happen. But Cliftonville still came down to Turner's Cross yesterday, and I'm going to say comfortably beat Cork City 3-1. Shelbourne beat Wexford 2-1 with a last-minute Rebecca Devereux penalty. There's not a huge amount to take from the two games, maybe bar Cork City's abysmal performance against Cliftonville.
Yeah, look, we spoke about it last week. On that City seemed to be going good performance, bad, good, bad. Look, I think Danny and all the players will know that we were far too sloppy in possession. We couldn't string 3 or 4 passes together. I don't think that was necessarily down to Cliftonville being particularly good. I think there was warning signs there before we conceded the header, which was an excellent goal. We just weren't at it. It happens, so yeah, it was a poor game, and I just kind of want to put behind us. Wexford and Shells was a much better game, actually. I thought Wexford did quite well. Probably unlucky to I think Nicola Sinnott is still arguing about the handball that was given against her. But there was two cracking goals in the game. Yeah, it was a really good game. And Ava Mahoney obviously made her full debut there. She looked okay, but I think we all know once she gets a few games under her belt there, she's going to be an absolutely huge addition. It was an interesting battle up the Shell's left between herself, Rebecca Devereux, and then Maeve Russell and Mia Linehan coming the opposite way, like 4 really young players. It was a really interesting battle. But look, a good game. But look, overall, I think it was, like you said, done and dusted before either game kicked off, really.
Eileen, in Group C, now John just about 3 minutes ago said Crusaders have been really, really poor, but 10 minutes from full time today, they were actually qualifying because they were leading Shamrock Rovers 2-1. Obviously, Shams got a goal through Anya O'Gorman. The game finished 2-2, and they go from going out to actually topping the group because Treaty could only manage a 1-1 draw away to DLR on Saturday. Like, I don't want to talk about Shamrock Rovers again. I'm sick and tired of talking about them, but they're kind of the central story to every aspect of the season so far. And as I said, here they were 10 minutes from going out, and now they've topped the group. Do they take something from that, Eileen? Or is it going to look and go like, look, Crusaders are poor and we just managed to scrape through and get ourselves a draw and get the point to get ourselves through?
No, I think they take a lot from it. I think they have to take a lot from it because they haven't had much to take positives this season. Look, they created an awful lot and they should have scored more. I think anyway. I thought Leo O'Leary was absolutely outstanding up the left for them. I really did. She's like, they are in trouble if she goes in the summer, like, because she's an incredible footballer. I know this is a discussion we have a lot of the time, but like, if you have Anya O'Gorman in your side, you always have a chance, like, and that's the reality. And even last week in the cross, like, I'm still always nervous when she's on the pitch because I think she's likely to always come up with a goal. And while there's no doubt they should be scoring more, but you could say whatever you want about them, but they're after topping the group and they're through. So that's it. It's job done. And that's for them. They have to look at that as that's the positive. Leo O'Leary's your positive there, like, because she's just incredible and she makes things happen for them despite how rough a start they've had to the season. And like Treaty the day before, like, I suppose Treaty and Shamrock Rovers just did enough, the two of them, to get through. Will they both feel they should have won? Probably, but look, it doesn't matter because they're through. So that's for the two of them, job done, and they'll have a quarter final to look forward to in a couple of weeks. So yeah, as I said, I just think for Shamrock Rovers, no matter how bad things are going, if you have Anya O'Gorman on the pitch, I think you'll always have a chance.
Very true. She's a fantastic player, fantastic career. An unbelievable finish for that second goal today. I mean, I don't know. The camera angle just moved ever so slightly and you couldn't quite see the connection. But I mean, the angle was very tight. It's a great ball in from Leo O'Leary. My gut tells me that I'd love to see what the XG on that shot is. It's probably down at the 0.01, maybe not over 0.2, but it went in.
She knows what she's doing and she knows where she's putting the ball, Declan. So you did the same now. She scored a great goal in Treaty earlier in the season. You were like, no, that was mishit. No. She knows what she's doing. Okay. I'll die up.
I'm afraid to say a word.
I'll die up with this Anya O'Gorman bridge against you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Look at me standing up for Shamrock Rovers. I'm
Oh,
learning.
look at you! You'll get a standing ovation in Tala on Saturday evening if you end up there. Right. What to do? As I said, I don't want to spend the whole pod talking about Shamrock Rovers. They're through. Congratulations. We'll see what the quarter-final draw brings. The last group was Group D. John, there's not a whole lot to say because, as we know, Galway and Athlone were already through. Athlone had to win the game to finish top. It finished in a 2-2 draw. Another very good game. I guess the thing to take from it is Casey Howe is having her own individual Pushkas Award competition this season. I mean, another incredible finish on Saturday evening.
Yeah, look, she's after getting called, expectedly back up to the Northern Irish squad during the week as well. And look, it was a really good game, and I suppose we were kind of questioning last week, would both teams go for it? Who would they rest? Who would they bring in? But look, both teams have squads that are so strong. There's just quality right through. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great game. And Casey Howe, look. Yeah, I even saw about Freya Healy's goal, probably a goal of the month contender, and then Casey Howe steps up a couple of hours later and does that. So it's
That's the thing, but can they put those goals into the goals of the month competition, or is the goals of the month competition league goals only? Because there's no team of the week. Thankfully, there's no team of the week for the All Ireland Cup. So I'm not sure the goals from the All Ireland Cup can go into the goals of the month competition, can they?
It depends.
Controversial, I know.
It depends the quality of the rest of the goals, I suppose.
yeah.
Very true. Very true. Okay, Eileen, the last game was Sligo and Glentoran. As I said, neither had anything to play for. But unfortunately for Sligo, Glentoran gave them a bit of a hockeying. And it's things are getting very, very worrying now for Sligo all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think that's tough now today, like at home as well. I think they would have been looking at Glentoran's last two games, thinking they'll get something out of it. But I think Athlone went up to Glentoran in the first game, and for the first half, Glentoran looked excellent, and it was they just didn't have the fitness in the second half, and that was so like. There's no doubt that they're a good side, and it comes back to your point earlier on that like these teams are only just getting going now. And I think for Sligo, that's just unfortunate. Like if as I said, the figures fall again differently for them, but like they really can't catch a break between injuries and how fixtures are falling for them. But that's tough. That is tough. And I said they've had a really, really rough start to the season. And I hope things do get better for them because I said they're a good club doing things in the right way. And just in case, look, put the head down. And I do think they will start getting results. But that's a hard one. A 5-1 loss at home it's hard to kind of pick yourself up after, even though, look, they know they're out of the competition at that side. At that time, they still would want to give a better show of themselves, I think.
So we're down to a final 8 of Linfield, Peamount, Wexford Shells. Well, sorry, Shells, Wexford, I should say. Shells are the 1 seed. Shamrock Rovers, Treaty, and Galway and Athlone. For the crack, Eileen, give me a winner.
Peamount. I have no idea
John?
why I said that. It's a terrible call.
I was actually going to say Peamount as well. I was expecting you to go Galway, and then I said, "Oh, I won't go Galway, so I'll go Peamount." But so you win Peamount, I'll go Galway. I think that could be the final, though, depending on the draw.
You go, Deck.
I am. I'm going to genuinely, and people will think I'm taking the
You're
piss.
going to say Shamrock Rovers.
I can just see. I can see stars aligning after the way they got through today. When and I know they should have scored a way more, and I know they had, like as John said, their XG is probably 100 plus today. They had so many chances, but it's just one of those weird ones. I can see them scraping in, getting a nice draw, scraping into a semi-final, and then anything can happen.
But you know what's great about it? Like literally any of those 8 could win it. Like, do you know what I mean? And it won't be a shock if any of them wins it, which is brilliant to see. Like that's a huge credit to all of the sides and to the competitiveness of it because like there's no use that they could get a handy tie. There's no handy tie. Like I said, I think any of those 8 sides are very capable of winning that. It won't be a shock. Like,
yeah. No, that's it. And I mean, like the only thing with Shamrock Rovers, if you look, their possible opponents, I presume it's seeded. So their possible opponents are Peamount, Wexford. They can't play Treaty or Athlone. So, I mean, it's difficult no matter what way you go. There isn't a soft, as you said, Eileen, there isn't a soft quarterfinal draw there for anybody. So, Be interesting. I'd also have fancy Shamrock Rovers for the FAI Cup, to be honest with you. But look, we'll deal with that in a few weeks' time whenever they do that draw. I know.
Feeling guilty about what he said about Amanda now.
after pissing him off for 2 years, I'm trying to suck up to him now. It's just how I operate. So next week we have round 8 of the SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division. There's a few games in here, guys, that I think are pretty significant. The day starts, Eileen, at 2:00. Well, first, tell us, you're going on a road trip, are you?
I am. I'm going to go to Talca Park to see Cork City beat Shelburne, and then on my way home, I'm going to go to the Peamount game. I was originally going to go back to Tala, and then I realised A, I'm probably not welcome, and B, I would be very late getting back to Cork. So I'm not now going to go to Tala. Not because I'm not welcome, but because I'd be too late coming home. So yeah, I'm going to go to Talca Park, and then I'm going to come over and go to Peamount DLR. So if you see me and you don't like the pod, don't come up to me. But if you think the pod is great, come up for a chat. If you think I'm a prick, avoid me. It's fine.
Yes. Lads, please do me a favour. If you think Eileen's a prick, just go and tell. Actually, if you think I'm a prick, go tell Eileen that you think I'm a prick, because she'll love that. So, that would help everybody out massively. But look, back to the football, Eileen. So you're going to go to Talca Park, as you said, to see Cork City beat Shelburne. I would confidently predict that obviously Colleen Kennedy O'Connell was injured on Saturday. If she's not in the Cork City team, Cork City will not be beating Shelburne.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you. Like, we just look a really different side without her. Like, she is such like, her work rate is incredible and the entire team feeds off it. And as soon as she went off the pitch the other day, like, the tempo just went from the game completely, because she's that initial trigger for everything, kind of, as said, positive in terms of energy. Now, I know we were without Groilick as well the other day, but as said, I just think Colleen is so pivotal, and we just offered nothing as an attacking team really once she left. And she'll give that, like, the Shelburne are very solid defensively. They are, there's no doubt about it. And even like the changes they made at the weekend, I thought Nia Hannon, who's an academy player, came in for Pearl, and I thought she was outstanding. Like, but like, Colleen will give that Shelburne back line a rough day. Like, do you know what I mean? They'll know they're in a game, but it's just without her, you would have a bit of concern. But look, hopefully she'll be fit, that they kind of took her off pretty much straight away, and hopefully that it's nothing serious, just the initial kind of bang of it, and that she'll be back, because as I said, we definitely look a different side without her, don't we?
Yeah. Can I just jump in something there now, just because you said it? Do you know the way you said they took her off almost straight away? One thing that actually did annoy you about the game on Saturday was there was 4 minutes between Colleen going down and Laura Shine coming on.
That annoyed Decky in the crowd too.
I found that absolutely incredible, because she went down, she came back on, they took her off, and there was another 3 minutes before Laura came on, and I just thought that it was absolutely crazy. But anyway, that just popped into my head. That just popped into my head there.
I was in the stand saying the exact same. Laura was doing a warm-up, a full warm-up, and that seemed to be the hold-up. I know, was it Danny or the physio or whoever, but somebody wanted her to go through this warm-up before she was brought on. As you said, it was 4 minutes. I wouldn't be doing it in Talca Park. Well, they shouldn't. Like, look, I don't know the ins and outs of it. There's probably very good reasons for it, and we talk a lot about injury and things like that here, so I guess you also want to make sure the players are fully and properly warmed up before they go on. But it was strange. Was strange.
Yeah.
But
you just leave Colleen sitting on the ground, and you pretend you're taking ages to make sure she's okay to move. You manage that situation. That's my take on it.
There's the experienced coach. It sounds like you've managed that situation a couple of times previously, John, to be honest.
There was an under 14 game at the weekend that I was managing mad.
Does your goalkeeper go down with somewhat regularity as well? Yeah, desperate cramps. My goalkeeper gets desperate cramps. So. I'm getting completely sidetracked. Sorry, John. Finally, just on this, I said to Eileen on Saturday, leaving Turner's Cross, that it's hard to imagine there's another player in the country who is as vital to their side as Colleen is to Cork City. Because when she went off, Cork City were the Cork City of last season. Now, as Eileen said, Dorothea wasn't there in the centre of the park either. All of a sudden, it became very, very apparent how reliant Cork City are on Colleen. And that's a very dangerous situation for any side to be in as well.
It is for two reasons. In that, when she's not on the pitch, you, like Eileen said, you see the tempo drop because other players feed off her. But also, to go back a few weeks ago to Treaty United, if you play in a way that cancels Colleen out, where's our plan B? What else are we going to do? So from an energy on the pitch, but also from a tactical point of view, keep making sure Colleen is fit and effective. It becomes a massive focus for City.
Yeah, very much so. So, Eileen, you still expecting to see a Cork City victory in Talca Park, you are?
Yeah, you know me, I'm forever the eternal optimist.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when your optimism floats from Talca Park and heads down the M50 towards PLR Park, where you will watch P-Mount and DLR, look, I'm going to put my neck on the block here, I'll be honest with you lads, and make a prediction. I'm going to say P-Mount win this game.
How do you do it?
So brave.
I don't know. I call. And I don't know, did any of you notice, but I didn't make any prediction on the 3D DLR game last week. I stayed away from it.
I was just wondering, did you make it?
Yeah, I was actually trying to remember if you had.
No, didn't. Stayed away from it. So, clued in. But this week I'm going with the prediction. I think P-Mount will beat them.
Wow, Deck.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, I trust you, Declan.
I'll be there in my Karen Duggan jersey anyway, waiting for her to score a hat-trick. If someone could get me a Karen Duggan jersey, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. I'll stop in Tipperary and get yours.
That's it. I'll give you a few posters to get signed.
So look, P-Mount DLR, it's hard. It's really, really hard to see DLR get anything from this game, Eileen, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? Like I thought they were good against Treaty. Like they offered a lot going forward. Like it was really end-to-end game, and I think they can take a bit of confidence from that because of how well Treaty are doing this season. And I think if you're Laura Heffernan, that's what you're going to be saying to them, like that you are capable against these sides. So like go out and do what you did there. And again, like Michelle Doonan was brilliant. She really was. She's such a handful. Like when she gets going, and like there's no reason she can't give Karen Duggan a rough Saturday night. You know what I mean? Like her pace is, and that's something Karen doesn't have. It's probably the only thing her game lacks. It would be kind of out and out pace. So I think said if you're Laura Heffernan, you're going to be saying, look, we're after getting a result there now, and can we kick on? They've got a result against Shamrock Rovers, so they know they're capable. It's just about, as I said, everything needs to go right for them, and they need to have a little bit of luck on the night as well. But look, I at the same time, I fancy P-Mount to win, like I should say. But I think if you're Laura Heffernan, you'll be positive after the weekend's game against Treaty, I think.
Yeah, John, I presume you'd agree with Eileen. Not that I want to put words in your mouth or anything, but...
No, I would never doubt Eileen or go against her in the matters of P-Mount United. No, you'd expect P-Mount to win, but I would agree DLR were really good at the weekend. But again, your P-Mount are just, like you said, haven't conceded in 5. They're just going through the gears now, I think, getting better and better.
Yeah, just very quickly on DLR as well, and it's a tangent, but it's something I forgot to mention earlier on. Ron, or Kieran, but he's better known as Ron, put up a wonderful post on his Twitter account yesterday regarding his struggles with commentary, and he has a disability that I genuinely wasn't aware of, and it causes him issues with remembering names and remembering shirt numbers and things like that. And it was just... it's just one of those posts that make you think, Jesus, it's great to see that somebody who maybe reckons that he would struggle in certain areas of life can be this forward and this confident and this comfortable with his own existence now and his own being, that he's willing to put this stuff out on Twitter. And I just thought, again, lads, it was just a fantastic post and something that's hopefully will help maybe other people who might see it. And there is a community within the League of Ireland as a whole, and within the women's division that will always make people welcome who want to volunteer. And Ron is a brilliant commentator. As I said, I didn't even realize he had an issue, and I've listened to his commentaries a number of times. So that's how good he is, in my opinion. So as I said, just shout out to Ron and just say, look, lad, keep going. You're brilliant at what you do, and hopefully you'll be around for a long time doing it. And he's now doing DLR social media stuff as well, and some of it is very clever. He's a big Simpsons fan, and there's a lot of little eggs and references and memes and things like that from the Simpsons world as well. So as I said, I just wanted to say that and wish Ron the best going forward.
Hear, hear.
After that, guys, it's 6 o'clock in Ferrycarrig Park. This, for me, is probably maybe the most interesting game of the weekend. It's Wexford and Treaty. And to me, it's interesting because Wexford, were probably unlucky, Eileen, as you said, to lose on Saturday. Controversial penalty, I guess, in the last minute against Shelbourne. Treaty are coming into town. It's a place that if Treaty want to be considered, okay, they're not genuine title contenders, but they want to be considered right in the cusp of that tier 1 group of sides. I think they need to go to a place like Wexford Park and win. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think they'll be eyeing it because it said it would probably cement their position in the table kind of above Wexford. And I think if you offered them that at the start of the season, they'd been quite happy with it. And from Wexford's point of view, I think Ellen Malloy's goal was is that a sign she's kind of coming back towards her best? Like that's something you'd have seen from her pre-injury. It was a brilliant, brilliant goal. And I think that's a huge positive for Wexford because if you can get her back to even half of the level she was at pre-injury, like she's such a special player. They certainly are improving Wexford, but again, like there's no room for moral victories here. Like, and they have to go out and get a result. I even was listening. I don't know. Did you watch the interview with Maeve Russell? Got player of the game, and like she says like quite openly, like they've no confidence, like because of the way the results have been going. So, it's not an easy game. Like I fancy Treaty to go down there and get a result. To be honest, I just think they're a very, very good side, and whoever they seem to be playing, they seem to be so well coached and so well set up to play each particular side. I think that's probably the thing that's most impressive about them is how they set up differently and are aware of the threats from each side, and they kind of counteract them to the best of their ability. And Stephanie Young, who scored their goal, that was a brilliant goal as well, like really powerful player, and she's going to cause trouble for a lot of defenses, because it was a really good individual goal where she just powered past a couple of players and finished well. So I actually think Treaty will get a result down there. I'll put my neck on the line.
Yeah. I think somebody somewhere on some random podcast said a couple of weeks back that Stephanie Young was a player to watch and might be somebody who would have a big impact in the second half of the league season. But I can't remember who it was. I can't remember what podcast it was on. But look, John, Wexford take confidence from their performance against Shelbourne last weekend?
Yeah, I think Wexford performances have been improved over the last couple of weeks. One thing that kind of struck me watching the game this weekend was just this. They're quite slow in the build-up. I'm not sure how much pace there is in that side, which I think is something a lot of other clubs have. There's no question, like from front to back, they have outstanding footballers, but I think even when they're counter-attacking, they just don't break with speed. They don't move the ball particularly quickly. And I think it's a challenge for them. And I think it probably makes them a little bit easier to close down. But again, look, when you've got someone like Ella Malloy, it's, and the goal she scored was brilliant. I thought Emily Corbett did quite well actually, while she was on the pitch. But again, it's I think they're just, they were very good up to the final third, and then it was a little bit ponderous when they were in possession. It's trying to walk the ball into the net at times. But yeah, I think they're due a win because I want them climbing up the table to third place like I predicted. But no, I kind of have a sneaky feeling that they're going to catch someone soon, and it could be Treaty this weekend.
Very quickly, because it's just dawned on me now. Hugh Strong should be suspended for this game, having been sent off on that loan. Eileen, in this day and age, does a manager not being in the dugout make a huge amount of difference?
No. Because like they have ways of getting their messages on. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
They just
Galway a
stand in
few
the car
weeks ago,
park.
like you don't even have to, especially somewhere like Ferry Carrick Park, like he could literally just stand behind the dugout, like, do you know?
He's
So,
actually outside the stadium and he can still go.
so like, I don't think so. I think like, especially in modern football, there'll be a couple of voices. And look, if he's not there, Lizzie Kent is very involved there and she's excellent. But like, yeah, as we said, Ferry Carrick Park, like he could be standing outside the ground and still, he's loud enough. We can hear him on,
He-
we can hear him on the streets. He'll be heard. He'll be fine.
He could be in the Markets Field and they'll still hear him.
I wonder will his name be included in this week's FAI suspension list? We'll see on Thursday when it comes out. Because like, there's no way they'll forget about the women's suspensions 2 times running
Never.
anyway, is there? No, none. 7 o'clock in Sligo. Athlone head up there. John, again, unfortunately for Sligo, it's very hard to see Athlone not picking up the 3 points here.
Yeah. So again, I think we spoke about it last week. This, Athlone have gotten their bad week coming off a bye behind them now, and like they were very good at the weekend again. Sligo, they're it's tough for them at the moment with the amount of injuries they have and the way their fixtures are coming. You can't really see anything other than an Athlone win. And look, I'd worry that it might be a very, very comfortable one for Athlone as well.
The way I see this game is that Athlone will have too much pace, too much talent, too much movement, too much overall ability for Sligo to get anywhere near them. And I genuinely think Sligo could do them 3, 4, 5-0 here, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially if Athlone score early, you could see it being kind of a big score. If Sligo can be really disciplined and hold them out, obviously, look, the longer they could do that, the more they're going to frustrate Athlone, and maybe that'll play into their favour. But it is hard to see past Athlone in this game. Again, like look, we're going to probably keep speaking about it every week. The amount of injuries Sligo have is it's cruel, nearly like and it's hard for them, and it's going to be hard for Tommy Hewitt to pick them up after today's result. And look, obviously for him, it's a really big game as well, like against Athlone. After obviously he left there midway through last season, so it's a big game from Erin Devaney. Going back, she'll want to prove maybe that she should have got a bit more time when she was there. So like, you have all these little kind of side stories as well that maybe might play into Sligo's favour, you would hope. Like, and hopefully they can be competitive in the game. As I said, it's hard because I do think they're down to the bare bones, and they're probably after having to bring through a lot of young girls that maybe they didn't want to bring through to senior level play, starting and playing, giving all this game time to. And it's a huge step up. And look, they're learning, and it's hard to learn in the way that they are, but long term, hopefully it will stand to them. But for now, look, I think they might have a difficult couple of weeks still until they get a couple of their experienced players back in there.
Yeah, and finally, last Friday night, 7:35, live on TG Cahir Saturday night. Eileen, you're not going there because you're afraid to go to Tala by all accounts. But it is Shamrock Rovers at home to Galway United. Like, how do we see this one? How do you see it, Eileen?
I'm delighted it's a TV game for a couple of reasons. I think a bit like Turner's Cross, I think Tal is a fantastic stadium, and it'll always look well on TV. It should be a really good game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals because unless Shamrock Rovers are going to do a 360 and actually kind of adjust how they play based on who they're playing, and like, I suppose, bear in mind and give them the respect they deserve. It like, if they don't go out and set up to play Galway like that, Galway are favourites for that game and are scoring goals for fun, I think it could be a really big score in favour of Galway, to be honest. But it really depends on how Shamrock Rovers approach it, and if their management has maybe learned lessons from not just, as I said, kind of playing off, it doesn't matter who the other team is because we're Shamrock Rovers. Do you know what I mean? You have to set up to play Galway. You have to try to contain Julianne Russell. You have to try to contain Jenna, because they're so pivotal. I think if you can contain them a little bit, you will restrict Galway an awful lot. You won't fully restrict them because they've talent all over the pitch. But I think if you could restrict Julianne in particular, I think that would make a huge difference. If they can do that, I really don't know, because they don't seem to defensively, even today, like the goals they conceded weren't great. But again, the other side of it, like if they can get the likes of Anya firing, if Leah has a big game, like you'd fancy them to get 1 or 2 as well. But I do think Galway will win the game. Big call.
Yeah, big call. But that's what we're here for. Eileen, it was interesting today against Crusaders that Shamrock Rovers lined up with 3 at the back with Jess Hennessy, Shauna Fox and Maria Reynolds. Is that a tactic you could see them taking forward? And would you expect them to start with 3 at the back against Galway next week? We saw Peamount do it in a All-Ireland Cup game. And then their next league game was Galway. They held Galway scoreless that night. Do you think there's anything in what you saw today from Shamrock Rovers?
Yeah, I certainly think like you're not going to just change for the one-off game. I think he obviously has an awful lot of time for Maria Reynolds. That's clear to see. And I think Shauna and Jess have enough in the bank with their performances from last season that neither of them should be dropped at the expense of Maria Reynolds at centre half. So look, they obviously were struggling like as a back four. So like, why not change it? Because something kind of had to change there. The only changes I'd really expect to see from their starting 11 is I'd expect to see Amanda come in. I think he's just given Summer Lawless game time, which is fair enough. I think Amanda's the number 1 keeper there without a doubt. And Aoife Kelly was on the bench today. I'd expect her to come back in. But I think he'll stick with 3 at the back. And like, why not? As you said, it's worked really, really well for Peamount, maybe for different reasons. But like, I said, I for me, like it, and I'll keep saying it no matter how much I give out about Shamrock Rovers. I think Shauna Fox and Jess Hennessy are 2 of the best centre halves in the league without a shadow of a doubt. So I think they have to be your fulcrum. And if it's Maria in there, like she's supposed to be a brilliant young player. I don't think we've seen enough of her to really judge that yet in this league. But I think playing alongside the two girls, it could be really, really good for them. And they were very leaky at the back, so they had to change something. And if that's it and it's successful for them, I suppose time will tell, because they obviously did concede 2 goals today. But look, it'll take a while. This changing system's going to take a while to bed in anyway, regardless, unless you're Peamount and Karen Duggan is Rolls Royce, so it's easy enough to do.
John, the change of system also probably plays to Leo O'Leary's strengths, and it solves that left-hand side issue as well to a degree, in that she's almost a perfect left wing back in that she can get up and down. She has a defensive nous, but she's also very attack-minded, and we saw that today. She had a very, very good game today. So, I mean, there are reasons that tactical adjustment can work very well for Shamrock Rovers.
There are, no, absolutely. And like, to be honest, bar finishing today, Rovers were brilliant. And Katie O'Reilly on the opposite wing as well was excellent. I would worry, though, given the nature of the goals they concede, about that 3 at the back against Galway. Maria Reynolds had a bit of a baptism of fire today. The first goal, she just got sucked into the ball, and the ball was switched to her side and had a player through. Second goal, she plays like, even though I'm sure Summer Lawless will probably get a lot of the criticism because her clearance is blocked down. I think Reynolds has to pass back to her a little bit earlier before she's under that much pressure. But I think the 3 of those over time, and the way Rovers played today, they were very, very good. But Galway is a much tougher test than they faced today up the north.
Call it so, John. How do you see it? How do you see it going?
Yeah, look, I to be honest, I think Galway will win comfortably. I do think that system will work better for Rovers over time, and I'm glad to see that they've reacted to what their issues have been. But I think it's too early, and I think Galway are too good at this stage.
Eileen, what about yourself?
I already said I think Galway are going to win. But I'll say it again.
Sorry,
I think Galway are going to win.
My,
You're just trying to get me in trouble with Shamrock Rovers every week. And I could do it all by myself.
Me. I know, join the club. Christ almighty. But sure, look, such is life. What can you do? We always swore we were never going to disrespect the women's game by coming with a God love them, aren't the women doing great type attitude. And
There's no fear of that with us anyway.
No, we'll discuss the games and the characters and the people involved in the same way, in the same respect, not the same respect, but in the same manner that you would discuss the men's game. And that is a sign of respect to the players, coaches, management, on the clubs involved in this league. That's how we see it anyway. Guys, anybody want to say anything else before we pack it all in?
Can I just finish on this? As I mentioned, Katie O'Reilly, who was excellent today for Shamrock Rovers. She was wearing number 57 on her jersey, and I was looking at it going, Jesus Christ, what are you at up there? Like, how can you have 57 different squad numbers? It was just, I didn't know what. It was bothering me right through the game. As good as she was, every time she got the ball, I was looking at 57 on her jersey, and I was going, stop. Even Ian Gilzine back in the day stopped out at 32. Like,
John, you're just nitpicking now for the sake of nitpicking. You're right. And let's just
57.
pick on Shamrock Rovers for no value, for no real reason. No, let's just pick on Shamrock Rovers. You know, yeah. I looked at the whole squad numbers thing, but I mean, you just got to be careful. That number could have very significant meaning for Katie as well. Like, you know, so
I suppose.
Jesus.
Just
all over his parade, Decky.
Yeah. No, I've got to go look it up and ask you to cut it out just in case.
No, not at all. It's staying in. No. It's staying in. Just
it's a very continental thing, isn't
Eileen,
it? High squad numbers.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
I
like it. I like a bit of madness that kind of makes no sense. I like it. Like, I think if I was playing now and I was any good, I'd have some off the wall squad number just to annoy people like John as well.
8+1, like, what was that, Zamorano at the time? Jesus.
Oh yeah, because 9 wasn't available. Christ.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you could do like, I mean, especially when you know the kit man. Like, I always thought if I wanted to wear number 6, but just like John says, to annoy everybody, get 06 on it, you know, instead of just the plain old 6, and little things like that would affect people. But look, my days of dreaming about squad numbers with my name on it and scoring into the shed and the rest of it are long behind me, unfortunately. So
yeah, I'm feeling guilty now. So can I just say, Katie O'Reilly today was the best performance I've ever seen by someone wearing a number 57 jersey.
Fair play, Katie. We brought him round. She
was actually brilliant.
Up the media. No, I know she was. She was excellent, and do you know what she has as well? She's a bit of bite about her, like. Yeah, she'd kick you as fast as look at you, like.
No, they wouldn't do that at all.
Which is a good thing.
No, they don't do that at all. No, did you not listen to the podcast?
Role models.
No. That must have been someone else you were watching, Declan.
Yes. Yeah, look, we're still waiting for a reply to our email inviting somebody from Shamrock Rovers onto the pod anyway, so it's only 6 weeks ago now. But I guess we can file them in the list of clubs right next to Cork City who won't have anything to do with us. Yay! Oh, lads. I'm sure by the time the season's over, there'll be more in that group than there'll be in the group who will have something to do with us.
To be fair, like, we're walking a fine line with Wexford over you, Declan, as well, to be honest. I would imagine, like.
The fishing trawlers. I got actually, they see the thing today with their under-19s, where their under-19s wore the jersey of their original schoolgirls clubs in the warm-up to show the significance and to, you know, kind of thank the schoolboys clubs. Lovely touch. Yeah. There was jerseys from the 4 corners of the country on show. It was great to see. You know, it's like I got a message from somebody, you know, who would be around the league and maybe attached to a club yesterday when they actually it was one of the girls from Castletown, John, which is your town, your club, made their senior debut for Wexford. Yeah, and I got a message from somebody with the quote tweet and just this picture of a big fishing net behind it, you know, and going, they're still trawling, you know. So look, but actually a big weekend for Castletown because
Grace Flanagan made her debut for Cork City as well, and Ciara made her senior debut for Wexford Youths, and obviously Maeve Russell as well as a former player who picked up player of the match in the Wexford Shelbourne game as well. So yeah, very, very happy around Cashel with all our ladies doing so well.
Tip FC coming soon.
Yeah.
Managed by John O'Sullivan.
But to be fair, John, I mean, you have a significant number of players in a number of academies around the league. And as you said, players are now starting to get first team appearances. And I don't want to say a small club, but for a club in an area that doesn't have a League of Ireland club attached or anything else, it's significant achievements.
Yeah, no, look, Grace Flanagan made her debut for Cork City yesterday. Her dad, Paul, is an exceptional coach. And he had a group of girls a few years ago that he had from under-8s up, and 8 of them went on to play League of Ireland underage from a town in Cashel.
unreal.
And it's incredible. Like there's a girl up in Shelburne at the moment, as are Teesdale. There's girls in Wexford, there's girls in Cork City, obviously. I don't want to go about Cashel, but we're a nice little club in the middle of nowhere.
Up Cashel.
Up Cashel, yeah, on Cashel Town.
You don't want to go on about Cashel. Look, you were
Paul,
nearly
you do.
fucking tears yesterday as the two girls were getting Chad's getting emotional,
I was. Oh no, yeah. Look, Grace. Yeah, Grace. Look, I'll go down that line, so I wasn't even going to mention it. But no, I've known Grace since she was a tot, and for someone you've known and seen develop the whole way up along, and I know her dad well as well. To see her coming on for the club you support and the club you love was like a really special moment, just for me personally. Yesterday, it was brilliant.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And
it's why the League of Ireland's great, though. Stories like that is brilliant. Yeah. So it makes the league.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. And look, it's been a great week for stories. Obviously the Amanda Budden story, but like I love that stuff. I genuinely do. You have Ron's story at DLR. You have this stuff at, coming out of Cashel, the two girls making debuts. Like, look, lads, greatest league in the world, without a doubt. It is
always,
undeniable. Yeah, undeniable. And you know what? We'll leave it there for another week. We will be back next week with a review of Eileen's somewhat shortened road trip now. But look, I'm
going to bring a vuvuzela for Talca Park. Behind the corner taker.
Did you see that in Logford last night, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Look out for me on the stream.
Brilliant. Yeah. Hopefully Karen Duggan's taking a corner at some stage and there's Eileen behind her with the vuvuzela, just giving it road. Be fantastic. Anyway, look, guys, as we said, hopefully you'll be willing to join us next week and we'll get a full rundown on Eileen's road trip. And we will cover all the other matters. I presume there'll be an Avenir Sports Cup draw at some stage. It might be this week, might be next week. We don't know. Presume they'll have to have one at some stage. And there'll be an FAI Cup draw as well shortly in the next couple of weeks. But again, who knows when. And on that note, we also sent an email to the FAI, but we won't divulge the content until maybe next week. And we hope we'll get a reply. And then we can have a good conversation about the subject matter at hand. If we don't get a reply, we'll just say we'll then discuss the subject matter, but with no actual facts to back anything up, and we'll just guess at what might be happening. But until then, adios.
Adios.
Adios.